Derivatives trading involves substantial risk and loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, it is August the 5th, and this is just crazy. So, overnight, it looks like the Chinese stopped holding their currency. Essentially, they just let it go. And there's been a massive, absolutely massive devaluation in the yuan. Good morning, Seth. Could you offer some perspective on why treasuries are rallying? Yep, this is 100% China right now. Now I'm a little unsure about a couple of things because I mean, here's the thing: we are well beyond theory at this point. Now that China is actively devaluing their currency in like what looks like the trade apocalypse to me, anything could happen here, and I really do not know how this turns out. I mean, there's so many things to consider here. One of the things that we have to wonder is what is the United States' next steps? And I wouldn't be surprised if sanctions are around the corner. Interestingly enough, though, they're selling on the open. The other thing is I'm just seeing everywhere China retaliates. I don't see anything from China. You got anything for us, Ron? Good morning, Wrong, Uzi, Lucas. China dropped the price of their currency to almost a historic low. It's called currency manipulation. Are you listening, Federal Reserve? This is a major violation, which will greatly weaken China over time. So it's an all-out trade war. That's my read. Interesting that all Donald Trump is doing is saying, hey, Federal Reserve, you really should be reducing rates. And he's not more like, this is what we're going to do in response. Maybe they haven't discussed it and he doesn't even know what his options are yet. There's a big iceberg at 16.5 on the offer. Cannot make sense of that. Do we see anything? And let's come back over to the charts really quick. So there's the E-mini just getting clobbered. Don't know. I don't understand. But honestly, in this kind of area, maybe we're better off. Maybe it's better for us trading to not know. Does that make sense? I did not know China could go to these extents, right? Well, the thing that's weirding me out is that I don't know if they actually did anything. I think that they just stopped doing something. Like, I keep saying, does that make sense? But China has been holding the yuan at like 7 or something like that, right? And it looks like that they just let it go. Wrong says, I really don't know what's going on. I can't relate anything. Do we need... okay, so we need to see... Where's our good friend? What's his name? Okay. I see stuff from Hong Kong. He did kind of warn us on Friday, didn't he? The editor of Chinese state media. What is his name? Who? That's his name. Who? She should? Okay, so let's go back to August 2nd. He said Beijing was very disappointed with the latest flip-flops of the US. It's understood Chinese side always has a plan B, which includes a series of countermeasures. China won't fight the battle unprepared. You will see it. A well-informed official told me on condition of anonymity. So this must almost certainly be what he was talking about on Friday. Mr. President, your brag about higher tariffs contradicts common sense of the economics. It also goes against your actual strong wish for a trade deal since tariff is so good. Trade talks seem unnecessary. Interesting. Are American voters so easy to fool? Washington's capriciousness has become the biggest obstacle to China-U.S. trade talks. White House statement said trade talks in Shanghai are constructive, but President Trump announced new tariffs soon. Can the U.S. be trusted? Well, okay. Here's a good point there. If the U.S. really deploys intermediate-range missile in Asia, it will inevitably trigger an intense arms race is full of uncertainties, but it will only have one result. That is, China will have strategic weapons arsenal on par with that of the United States. Right. Okay. Have you considered studying economics? You're pretty. I don't know if I. Everything that I know, I learned from reading books and watching CNBC. So, and the thing with economics is that it's not an exact science. You can come in and you can have an idea about economics and you can have an idea about the way that things are going to go when a certain thing happens, and you could be completely wrong, and yet it not be wrong because of your understanding of economics, but just that situation is weird. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we can say that I'm good at it or not, because how do you quantify that? I don't think you can. Maybe if you won a Nobel Prize, I'm sure that you could say that you're good at economics. Another thing I guess we need to mention is that Bitcoin is up almost $200. This is kind of interesting because a huge currency intervention in China moves us up $200, but they were pushing up Bitcoin way more than that earlier, a month or two back, over nothing, just like with tether printing. So this one is a weird one, because if that move in Bitcoin is people from China trying to get out of the yuan, am I saying that right? Then I don't think that they intend to keep it. Yeah, look, it's pretty far from the swings Bitcoin used to have, considering the latest news. Exactly. It's a curiously small move. I mean, it's big from the recent action, but Also, look at this way the treasuries are selling here. They are not. Am I seeing this volume right? Yeah. They are not selling this. The volume is almost all long. Look at that. I wonder if that's the US Treasury. Okay. That's that. What the hell? This is pretty crazy, huh? Okay, well, we're already 2 ticks back up now. And there was some sort of, well, we're actually not even getting into the levels of, hmm, that's really weird too. This is kind of weird, guys. Well, liquidity is really low. I am noticing that for sure, especially on the offers. Um, it's ticking without a lot of robot activity. So it seems that the robots are just completely off. PBOC denies competitive devaluation. What? So what does PBOC stand for? Prime Bank of China? Something Bank of China. Public Bank of China? What do we got on the docket today? People's Bank of China. Aha. Oh, we have final services PMI today. Good morning, IQ. It's not taking much for it to move, but now all of a sudden it's just not going anywhere. Okay. This is kind of what I'm talking about. The volume is all buy-in. And it holds. Okay. My room is a little hot today. We had a massive windstorm last night, and I think that my temperature control is all off, so it's not cooling. And yeah. Well, I never really got anything that. Well, it's kind of hard to say, but I'm not so sure that I got a clear signal there. Well, okay, then now that was interesting. Hmm. My oh my. Let's minimize this. You know everybody's focused in trading when the chat's this quiet. It ticks down. This is a very curious action. Like normally I think I would be a little bored and frustrated. Down tick. There's no big orders following that one. Oh, now they're stacking on. It's a little bit on the bid though. None of them close either. The 5 years seems to want to go though. I mean, we'll see what the 5 years kind of acting like it's right. Oh, there's my AC turning on. Very nice. Very, very nice. Uptick again. Okay, so an iceberg at 15 is not exactly what I want to see. NIW Leet, how's it going? Hey, thank you for stopping in. Well, we're having a pretty crazy day. I know it doesn't seem like it because we are like dead silent and these numbers are just kind of moving really slow, but financial markets are doing insane things right now. They held that again. Really? Hmm. Well, I probably got out at the wrong spot, but I just don't like it when they're doing that. Like they go in and there's only 5 on the bid. That's not, I don't want to be in a trade there. It's still kind of like not ticking right. I know how it can be. I used to trade myself, but I had to quit a year back because of personal issues and never seen this type of strategy charting though. Oh, really? Well, so what we're doing is we're just looking at the depth of market. I mean, I have charts, but the charts are just to reinforce to my mind what I'm seeing in the tape. But I'm basically looking at like blue is limit buys, red is limit sells, and then the 2 columns in between are the market buys and sells hitting into those orders. So you can see there, we just had, we came down 2 ticks. Didn't take very much volume for them to trade it down a tick, 579 contracts to sell it down to 14.5. They're fighting back though. And it's not like really interested. It's kind of lackadaisically trading back and forth here. I'm not really sure what's going on. If something, I'm wondering if somebody's coming in and doing some sort of intervention. But I don't know, because we had that move down and it just tick, 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 tick. And I was like, wow. Oh, it says, I know how the order book works. Appreciate it. I mostly meant all the indicators. Oh, okay. Well, so I have a tick chart, or it's a 1 range chart. And then I have something on it just to show me the swings so that I can see how long the last set of swings were. And then this histogram here is a histogram essentially of level 2 orders for me to judge, if there's more or less interest based off of people sticking orders in. What do you use to stream OBS? Yep. Yeah, if you have questions about that, totally willing to tell you anything about how I stream. So, because from my perspective, we get some other people doing it. That's good because first of all, you can record your own trades, and that's useful. Even if you just always keep it private or whatever, it's still really a great tool that I would encourage people to use. Or you can just record it. Like you can set the bitrate really low and just record it to your machine, right? And but then if you're actually like stream and try and build up a community, that's good because like it's a lot easier to build up a community with a group of streamers working together than it is just one person randomly out doing it all by themselves, like that actually increases your market. So I'm totally all about helping other people learn how to stream. Interesting. Where did you learn this? I myself never used indicators except for moving average and fibs. So, the way that I learned to trade was from nobsdaytrading.com. He has a little ebook that you read and some videos, and then you just watch the DOM a lot. The indicator is something that I made. And it's just kind of based on what I learned in that book. Lucas says, I would be careful about buying at these levels. Usually is a reasonable buy, but action is not good for longs, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, you notice how it tends to move down, even though there doesn't appear to be anything forcing it to do that. Like the volume, the market volume is still all buy / even. It looks like Twitch is ahead of YouTube. Yeah, I mean, so Twitch versus YouTube, for me at least, is a really interesting thing. If you were going to stream video games, without question, you can be much more successful doing it on Twitch, right? But Twitch has almost no discoverability. People don't search over there. You're only discoverable if you're like in the top streams. But on YouTube, if somebody is searching for trading, or if they just have an interest in trading, it'll show it to them, and they come in, and we get, a good number of new viewers every day just from YouTube sending people over. So we've always done better on YouTube because of the organic search traffic, which is kind of like the exact opposite of what everybody else in the streaming community experiences. Personally, I think it's harder to find live streams on YouTube. I would only visit your stream if I knew your channel. Yeah, well, I mean, you'd be surprised. YouTube will show it to you sometimes. At least that's how a lot of people have come in. But I've from the very beginning, pretty much, I've been using Restream to stream to both services, and YouTube has always been more active. I think right now, let's look what we got right now. I'm having some weird issues with sign-ins. They must have changed the way that they do sign-ins. So right now I've got 15 people watching on YouTube and 1 person watching on Twitch. How long have you been trading? So I think I've been doing this 3 years now. Like, I started in like October when Donald Trump got elected. YouTube didn't do anything to send me over. I simply looked up stock trading and clicked the live filter. No one really hosts live for stock trading, so don't feel like they're throwing you any favors. For me, YouTube is a lighter app than Twitch, so ... That's interesting, Lucas. Yeah, I don't know. We talk about how people find us, and I think a lot of people are doing it by searching, but almost every video gets about 100 views. So, and a lot of that is organic. About 30% of that is from organic search. So, but I mean, the thing is you're saying you were specifically searching for live channels for stock trading, which I suppose you can do that on Twitch too, but they don't really have they have a category for crypto, but they don't have a category for trading. But anyways, it's just always done better on YouTube, and I've just kind of been like, well, we'll just let them go along. I don't ever expect myself, oh, okay. Okay. Hands off. There's a big iceberg there, 1,400, and they just sold it all at once. Was there some, hold on, I can't see. I don't really see any like super huge orders pushing it there either. And an uptick. I don't think the Twitch community is ready for the financial sector. That's right, exactly. Actually, most of the traders I found on Twitch tend to be located within the gambling tab. Oh, there you go. That's what I should do. I should put it under gambling. If we put it under gambling, maybe we would get more people finding us on our Twitch. I mean, one of the things that I think is funny is that it gives me all of the, like, when you go to Twitch, it gives you all of the achievements for how long you streamed and how many people you have active at once and things like that. CFDs in Europe still count as gambling, right? I can't believe that people trade those, but apparently it was quite popular earlier in the year. From what I was reading on Futures.io, people were talking about it and they're like, we're getting a lot of people asking about this and it's bad. Don't do it. You used to trade CFDs? Did you have periods of profitability? When you did well, how well did you do? That's kind of the question. Under a long term, yes. Okay. But I mean, you talking like hundreds of dollars, thousands, tens of thousands, 5% a month. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I think here in futures, if you're doing really well, you can get 20 to 30% in a month, but usually it's not that much. We sure did well last month with all of that crazy volatility, though. Are they going to defend this area of 14? It's kind of weird. You know, like there was an iceberg there, and some people did take it back up, but then it just kind of sputtered out. I mean, the money obviously depends on the size of your portfolio, right? Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, for futures is a little bit different because you basically have to put up a certain amount of margin per contract. And the amount of margin that you need for day trading is usually a lot less than, you know, what you stand to make or gain on a trade, you know? So, you know, it really, most futures traders think of it as you're a one lot trader or you're a 10 lot trader or whatever it is, right? And then how many ticks a day do you make? And how many ticks a day is how you judge how well somebody is doing. Like you take what was the overall range for the time period that they were trading. Like if it's, you know, if we're scalping, take 30-minute bars, what's the average range of a 30-minute bar, and then see how many ticks they took out of that. Because Lucas is saying you can make 100% if you do really well. If you just held on Friday, you would have made over double. The margin from CFDs come from the leverage the bank lends you. CFDs are basically that broker is using an algo to determine the price. That's the downside. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you're basically trading against the bank. That's always same with why I don't recommend trading Forex. But the nice thing about futures is, you know, it only takes I wouldn't necessarily recommend if you're a new person just going in with only $1,000, but you can totally just go in and trade with $1,000. Especially now that we got those micro futures. With micro futures, you probably could stick $500 in and be okay. Going to be interesting to see here if Ace makes a trade here. Because I'm a little confused about I don't want to say confused, but uncertain what treasuries are doing here. I have no clue what the equities are going to do. Futures in Sweden is expensive, though. That's why I did CFDs. So you're in Sweden then. That's interesting. That's interesting. Man, now you guys got me all thinking I need to go to Twitch and set myself in the gambling tab. Let's go do that. That sounds fun. I need to go to my dashboard. Oh, right now I'm in just chatting. gambling. Oh, I don't see an actual just straight category. See, slots. I can't believe it's not gambling, horikouri. Hmm. So there's crypto. Bitcoin Trading Master, a simulator. Oh, and there's Win. Good morning. How was the snowboarding this weekend? Was that? Did you actually go? Yeah, assuming you have 1.5K per contract at trading the ZN, you can make 50% return on investment on just 3 ticks per day on average. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. CFDs are garbage, the same as if you're going to the bank and straight up asking them for a loan. At least with that, you can build your credit if you're profitable. Casino was the name. Okay, let's see. Casino Mogul, Casino Fun Pack, Casino RPG, Casino Kid, Virtual Casino. There's a couple of them there. Oh, you can set up what your audience is. I guess you can set it to be only for adults if you want. I mean, trading in futures in Sweden is 30% profit tax, and CFDs are 1.5%. Oh, I gotcha. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Is that 30% tax on them? All right, yeah, because in the United States, you just need to move to the United States, bro. Oh, Bladeware says they may have removed it. I should have a picture of the troll Kappan image. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We can just go back to just chatting. We're just chatting. Yeah, 30% is a lot. But that's what it's designed to catch day traders. That's kind of sucky, right? Like, I really don't think that. I mean, if I was designing the tax law to try and improve liquidity in markets, I wouldn't tax them anything unless they were making a certain amount. Like it would be like zero tax unless you made like over $10,000 or something. Because it's already hard enough for a new guy to get started, It's 22% in the US, right? Well, I think that what happens is you're traded a certain percentage of it is so they're short-term gains, right? So it's taxed as short-term gains are just taxed as regular income. So it depends on what your yearly income was, what the percentage is, but only a certain amount of that is taxed as regular taxable income. And then the other, and I forget what the rule is, it's like a 70-30 rule or something like that. And then the other percentage of it gets a reduced tax rate. You can talk them down with a good FICO to around 13 to 15%? Really? You can do that? You can talk down your taxes? Yeah, Europe has high taxes in general, at least for traders. Yeah, well, there's a reason why all of the trading goes to London, right? Can you imagine if Elizabeth Warren became president and they were actually able to pass a financial transaction tax? What kind of chaos in the industry that would cause? Like, I think that some of the trading would go to Singapore, actually, but who knows? Singapore's a weird place too. I think I would like to go visit. I don't know if I would like to live there, but I think I would like to go visit. Maybe we should do that. They're holding this 14 area really well, and it's kind of being kind of slippy up here at 14 to 15. Not Oh, I thought we were talking about average tax on the line, not general taxes. Now we're talking about, like, if you're a trader, what percentage of your winnings are going to be taxed? How much do you lose from taxes? Because the thing is you go through, you do all this trading, right? And then you have to pay your commissions, which, you know, for me ends up being a lot of it, actually. Because I take way too many trades. I'm still working on that. And then, you know, so I do all of that for me because I only trade a contract. Let's say that at the end of the year I've made $1,000, and then they take 30% of that. That sucks. But in the United States, you've got that rule, and so it's a lot lighter, lot less. Volume is buying plus going down. Short covering, perhaps. Perhaps. That when it started out, it was going kind of weird, and now it's just kind of dead. My back is I think I've really hurt the ligaments in my back because it's just so easy to pop it right now. Should probably go to a chiropractor and try and take it a little easy this week. Hey John, how's it going? There's bots. And see, now we're back up at 16, which is kind of interesting too. Nice ace. I lose zero because I make no profit. I'm a non-profit trader. I take all my earnings and they go straight into charity. Then I just get that percentage deduction on my tax, and boom, baby, I'm a winner again. Really? So who do you do? Maybe I should do that. That sounds fun. Can they deduct my losses too? What what do you do when you're you just take the loss then at that point, I guess? Okay, now they ticked up at 16.5. See, nice ace. Did ace say something and I just missed it? Let's make sure that I'm seeing all the messages and not just the... Okay. Looking for short at 28.87 if and when it comes back down. Oh, yes, he caught it. Very good. Did I not see that one? Oh, I did. There was just so much going on at the time I missed the ace saying that. Good trade, dude. Well, the treasuries be moving up again. So I'd have to say I'm glad that I just got out with what I did. Take an L boy, it's the newest sensation. Tax season is a money season for the educated. Your trader claim a new PC that you don't need on your taxes. I mean, I did it last year. Last year I lost a little bit and I got to deduct it, but the amount that I lost was pretty trivial. Yeah. By the way, is Bitcoin moving? No. Not yet, at least. I should probably decrease this. We don't need to see 500 volume. Let's change it to like 100 volume. That should make it a little bit easier to see what Bitcoin is doing, yeah? Oh yeah, very lovely. Very lovely. You can't use the tax deduction strategy for CFDs because they are gambling. Does it really count as gambling on your taxes? There was a flip there, but I didn't see any weird activity. It's kind of weird. It's just kind of moving around. No, you're not understanding. If you use your PC. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand that too. Yeah. I think I could probably put all of this. I've bought a couple of things this year, and I'm thinking I'm going to try and pay them as business expenses. Although I need to read the details, but I think that I can, some of these things that I got, like the light and the camera stuff, I can probably deduct. I too put all of my winnings into a charity. It's my favorite charity, the Ace Family Charity. Oh man. Okay, now something's happening. If you prove that the light is used for office use, you can deduct it 100%. Totally, right? It's a small business. But I think in the United States, with the most recent tax law, the one thing that I think puts a that could nix that is that I think that in order for it to be considered a business that you can deduct taxes on, it has to have made a certain amount of money. So, and I think that that's probably more than I've made from this, because we only make like the Patreon basically is what we make, which isn't that much. Got to give back to the cancer funds, man. Those people depend on us. Yeah. Europe has less tax than the US. Americans get taxed highly for almost everything real estate tax, and some states are just outrageous. You could just kill just paying real estate tax. That's interesting. Do you have to qualify as a professional though? Because that sucks. No, I don't think you do. I would really have to look at it. Trying to show out how to show my earnings come from my religion, Church of the S&P, so it's all tax free. There you go. Should become a preacher of some sort. You know, that's something that I haven't seen on Twitch or YouTube, and I'm surprised that we haven't seen it yet. Is some sort of religious cult sort of a thing? You know what I mean? Like, remember back in the 80s, they had those guys that would be on television and they would claim to be healing people, and they'd walk up to them and slap them on the forehead, and then they'd fall over and they were healed. But then, later we proved that it was all a hoax. How come we haven't seen that on YouTube? Leet says, I have that really hard to believe. Sweden has insane tax on everything. Yeah, I'm going to say when you look at the things, it's hard to directly compare the tax rates because you get taxed on different things. Might be right that in some states, the property tax in the United States might be more than the tax in Europe, but the income taxes in Europe are definitely higher. I suppose if you lived in New York, it's maybe comparable, but you live in a conservative state, it is definitely not. And then you've got the VAT tax in Europe too, right? Europeans get a lot of benefits in exchange, but you get almost nothing. Your federal government steals all the money from you, and you get nothing as benefits. Yeah. Well, when you consider, when you think about the inflation as a tax, then yeah, then I think you're starting to maybe to get somewhere. I pay 6.5 US dollars per gallon for diesel. Wow. That is, man. So I remember back in the, when I was a kid. So this was like 2003, 2006 time period. You know, back when George Bush was still president. And well, I remember when I was in high school. I, how far back? How far back can we go? I remember when I was a little kid, like 12 years old, and gas was like 99 cents, right? And then when I was in high school, it was like $2, 2.50. And then I went on a religious mission to Missouri, and I remember saying like, oh man, like if gas ever became over $3, that's got to be the breaking point. That's got to be the point at which people are gonna like really pull back their travel and buy more fuel efficient cars and things like that. Like people just aren't going to be willing to pay $3 for a gallon of gas. And nowadays it's like it's almost always above $3, right? Hmm. Our benefit is knowing that we're the center hub of this entire global market. Not only that, but we also have the nukes and the balls to drop one. Uh, uh, maybe. I kind of wonder if Donald Trump just all of a sudden decided to launch a nuclear bomb at China today. I don't think that they would let him. Zero Hedge tweets, ex-PBOC official says yuan to remain basically stable. And then they have a picture of the yuan moving. This action today is really interesting because China hasn't said anything. You have to wonder, though, are they going to come out here around the open and try and say something? He says, no, the guys who actually turned the keys to launch the nukes wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't do it. I don't think that they would do it. It's like that story, like the guy saw that the Russians had launched, or maybe it was a Russian that saw that the United States had launched missiles, and he looked at it and was like, it's probably a false positive, and ignored it and didn't say anything. And then it was a false positive. Otherwise, Russia would have launched. So I think it would be the same thing. I think that it would be like they would say no, that never happened. And then he would get mad and call them up and say like you need to launch, and they would refuse, and there'd be like a big argument, and then they would eventually talk him down from it or something like that. I think. So far, the move past 7 in China's currency is being viewed almost exclusively through the trade war lens. That's understandable and right, but not completely. The Hong Kong angle may also play a role too, so keep an eye on the relationship between the on and offshore rates. Okay, thank you, LL Rain. That was very useful. We gotta like that, buddy. I knew I liked you. I knew I was following you for a reason, even though you were like basically wrong about everything back in QE. A Russian sub commander also refused to launch back in the 60s. Yep. America is the country with the most homeless people in the entire world. It's shameful walking on Fifth Avenue and looking at those people sleeping under cardboard boxes. It's shameful. So the homeless thing is a weird thing because you remember we keep saying this is like the most prosperous time in history and all this, and like the economy is doing really well, and I would even argue that it's doing good for a lot of people. I mean, come on. Everybody at least has a phone. But then there's all these homeless people. And the homeless problem in some of these cities is just getting worse. Like some of the liberal policies like make it worse. And it's kind of funny because liberal policies will do all of these things, but then the really rich liberals hate it. So you know what happened here in Utah was we basically in Utah we had one homeless shelter downtown. And the homeless shelter was like across the street from the Gateway Mall downtown, which is kind of like a mall on the west side that was new and they made it, before the Olympics. So it was kind of sucked walking around that area and in the club district because there's all these homeless people. And so they talked about it for months and everything, and they finally said, okay, you know what? We are going to, we're going to split it up. We're going to close that homeless shelter, and we're going to open up a bunch of different homeless shelters around the valley so that it's all not congregated in one place. And one of the places that they were going to put it was in Sugar House. Now, Sugar House is where all of the rich liberals in Utah live. And they threw the biggest fit. They were like, this is near families and yada, 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 yada. And was basically they were not going to have it in that neighborhood. And the thing is that even though while Utah is extremely conservative, and I mean like severely conservative, as Mitt Romney would say, downtown Salt Lake is very liberal. And, all of the city council and all of the county offices are run by the Democrats. And at that point, they had a problem. They had to change it because their constituents were mad. And that's like their only constituents. And they basically have to listen to them. So, yeah, they didn't build the homeless shelter there. They moved it. And they ended up moving it into South Salt Lake. And I was going to a gym there at the time. And the place that they were going to build it ended up being right where that gym was. So he lost his lease and they kicked him out. And that was like his business. Like his wife worked and then he just did that. And now he's not a gym guy anymore. He got a normal job. And I always, whenever I see him on Facebook, I feel bad for him because while he has made the most of it and he's good at his job and I think he enjoys it and he looks happy, you know that it is not what he wanted to be doing right now. All because the liberals didn't want the homeless shelter in their neighborhood. Anyways, that was a long story. You guys have a bunch of comments. I visited New York City a couple of years back and noticed the gap between the people was insane compared to European countries. I never witnessed it the same way in Sweden, but to be honest, that's why I pay so much tax, I guess. America has a debt-based paradigm, so the actions of the Fed only benefit those who have access to financing, and it punishes savers and those who are unbanked. Does it punish those who are unbanked? Maybe you're right. Seattle is dying. Yeah, I mean, I've seen all of the stuff. I mean, one of the things is that a lot of it is in the United States. So if the United States has the highest homeless population, I'm going to bet it's because of the mental health problem. Because most of those people are either crazy or on drugs. I don't know, I remember they're always talking about there used to be this huge mental institution in Topeka, Kansas. And then, like they did everywhere in the 80s, they just closed them and kicked everybody out of the mental institutions, right? And so we would run across a ton of crazy people on the street. And they love to talk to missionaries. Okay, now we're getting some downticks. But I'm not getting, it's too close to the equities open. Otherwise I would maybe try and go with it. I think the most scary thing about the U.S. are mass shootings. Like, I'm amazed at how many North Americans feel about South America as being unsafe, yet you can't go to all there without thinking you might get shot to death. It's scary. Well, I mean, here's the thing. So there's been a lot of, man, I, it's kind of funny because up until you said that, Lucas, I hadn't thought about all of that stuff that had happened yesterday. So I was too focused on the whole China thing. It's a drug problem. It's just obvious that your drug policies are a total failure. Yeah, it totally is. It's either they're either crazy or they're on drugs. 100%, no question about it. No, so the shooting thing. So man, there's been so many statistics and stuff that I've seen over the past hour, and I'm a little hesitant to say anything about it because when you're in a situation like this, you're going to be bombarded with a lot of information, and a lot of it's going to be false. You know what I mean? But one of the things that I was seeing the Donald Trump supporters push was that if you look at just mass shooting events, that 50% of mass shooting events were like gang related and in areas like Chicago and stuff. And so we think about mass shootings. It seems to me like there is a problem in America. People are saying that it's like a white supremacy problem. I'm not convinced. I think that those guys would probably be latching onto something different if they didn't have that to latch onto. So you notice what this Dallas shooter guys did. Have you read anything about his manifesto? Because I read it, and I always have to put the what is the word disclaimer on there that this guy is absolutely evil, and I think that what he wrote was absolutely evil, and there's not necessarily any reason to seek it out. But I'm trying to understand the psychology of these people, and him, like the shooter before him, their political philosophy seems to be nonsensical. People seem to say, this is right wingers gone crazy, and they're going to categorize this shooter as a right wing extremism, but the only thing that was right wing about that guy was that he didn't like immigration. Everything else was left wing. And the positions that he had, even within the left wing ideology, were contradictory. They didn't make any sense. Ding, ding, ding. Algo Lover says, have a good day. Hey, thank you. I would really like to have gone short, but it's too close to the equity open, and I'm afraid that they're going to do something crazy. No matter what the Fed does, it's bullish, right? People just want to ignore that social media and digital media outlets are arithmetically cater endless rage bait to the masses to increase engagement and keep people on their platforms for longer. Thank you. Exactly that. Exactly that. But I think that there's something else going on too. I think that we've changed the culture in the United States. It changes the way that you go through life. It used to be, for our parents, for instance, you get out of high school, you get married. You were usually married by 26. Okay. Now, these days, I think that the average age still is 26, but there's a lot of people that aren't getting married until their 30s. And because of the way that the economy has been, older people are staying in the economy longer. It takes longer for your regular guy to build up himself a career. And if he's not in a career that's growing like technology or something like that, then they're having a rough time, and the girls just don't go for it. So you have all of these single guys that basically go nowhere up into their 30s. And I'm telling you guys, look, I'm a guy. Okay. The testosterone changes the way that you think. And when you have a guy, he's got testosterone, and he's basically done nothing for his whole life. They go crazy. They do stupid stuff, right? The mind, the mind is wired to start taking excessive risks. This is where the midlife crisis sort of thing comes from too, right? And if you are sucked into that social media bubble too, and everything that you're reading is like mass hysteria, and you notice, look at all of the things that the shooter believed. He was saying that economically it's not going to work, and that probably the only way that they will keep the population fed is if they do basic universal income. He thinks that the environment is basically already toast. He thinks that the Democrats are going to completely take over the government. Everything that he said was like hopelessness. Okay? So if you're in that kind of loser situation and everything that you see says that life is hopeless, then they naturally go into the only conclusion that one would make in that kind of a situation, which is that the best thing that I can do is throw my life away. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And right now, so many people are trying to score political points with it. It's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem. Okay, tons of comments here. I'm not sure if I can get to all of them. You stay for the conflict, the politics, racism, the hate, the desire to be right, and tech companies prey on that. Yep. I don't agree. The mind is not wired to take risks. It's extremely wired for survival and playing safe. Okay, sorry. I think I misstated that, Cherish. Am I saying that right, Cherish? What I meant is that testosterone makes tends to lead you towards more risk taking. That's why men are larger risk takers. That testosterone is the hormone that is most associated with risk taking. That's why women can be really, really good scalpers, because they view risk completely differently from men. And they can do well because they don't fall into some of the same risk-taking traps that some of the men do. Like men, you take a big loss, and you want a revenge trade. You want to say, oh, I can make it back. And maybe you even increase your size after doing that because you think, oh, well, that was just an aberration and I can make it all back really quickly, right? Whereas women, they just stick to their rule. Yeah, like he says, Cherish says thanks. So I think I was able to. Okay, so what's Win saying? Everyone needs to get some candles in the house and fill up your car and keep it filled up. Get some cash in hand just in case. We will probably see a day or two without communications because the bad actors are trying to turn our communications off. Our lights will flicker at some point, and everyone should just have a plan to hunker for a few days. Testosterone, a healthy amount of masculinity makes for less hair on your head. Lol. Yeah. Okay, we're getting an event again. It's right before the E-mini. We usually get one right here before the E-mini. Let's see what they do. They continue up or reverse. Ran up one of my favorite mountains. Oh, which one did you go? That's a good thing to do on the weekend. Oh, Timp, of course. So you did the one up the backside? I would like to do that again. I don't think that I'm in enough shape to walk up Timp. I remember when I did that, that was an all-day thing, though. I don't think that I could do that now with my kids and everything. Javad Zarif, I noted the repeated statements by Secretary Pompeo that Iran must change its policies in order for Iranians to eat is pure economic terrorism. Tying bread and medicine to politics is to kill and starve people into submission. Iranians will never capitulate. Well, that's the way that the U.S. has always done it, buddy. Timpanuki, the flowers are amazing, ran into a pole moose who wouldn't move. Oh, really? That was... Oh. Wait, like way up there on that crazy mountain? I can't believe that they can get up there. I guess bulls are... Moose are interesting animals. Watching those things run through the snow is like, what the fuck? Oh, they're crazy. You ran up the mountain and boy, are your legs tired. Okay, so here's the E-mini initial move up. A little bit of a mixed volume. I was kind of wondering if they would have a push higher there like that. I'd be suspicious about any kind of move, though. Okay, so they pushed higher. Now they're coming back to the open and testing it. Let's see if they test lower. Well, they are testing it. Now it's just kind of arguing. Oh, maybe another tick lower. Okay. Well, now that was interesting because the price moving down was not too crazy, but the volume was very negative. When they started hitting those lows, they were hitting it hardcore. And you're getting a big like gasp of air back up, and now I think that they could get flushed again. You guys see moose? What a wonderful world you must live in. I remember my first moose sighting was in Maine back home, and an alligator was normal, but the size of a moose is astonishing. Do moose or moosei eat flowers? I don't know what they eat. But I remember when I was a kid, a moose came down off of the mountain and was like right smack in the middle of the road. And they had to call animal control and take it away and everything. They selling this. Ooh, are they selling this? That's not just somebody like squeezing it either. That's like people like, oh, okay, we're going to sell. Let's jump on. Okay, well, that was a pretty strong short cover and rally there. Past couple of days I've had an inkling for which way the treasuries are going to go in this location, but right now I'm really, really uncertain. Putin's pledge to ditch the dollar is slowly becoming a reality. I was reading the paper in Florida, the lost and found, and someone advertised emu found, call to identify. Those freaking birds. Those in uh, peacocks. I remember in Missouri, it was like they just did what they want, and you would get one of those things, and they would leave, and you would be feeding it and everything like that, but that bird would just live on its own. You didn't have to worry about it becoming domesticated. Minution calling John Williams to save the market will be an interesting conversation. Says Zero Hedge. Nicholas, hey, good morning. I'm kind of feeling like that strong desire to click, but I don't know which way it's gonna go. The only thing I get was that there was that stoppage up here at 17.5 for the market open. And even though the E-mini has been selling pretty hard here, they have not really ticked back up, have they? I don't think I spelled that mountain correctly. I think you meant the backside of Mount Timpanogos, right? Not the cave, the backside. The backside is a real hike. That's an all day hike. It's very nice up there. Missouri, one of the world's leading fair expert, lives in Missouri. Bob Church. We did our first ski trip back in 1980. Aspen was empty and stunningly beautiful. We should have bought property. It's funny that they've been having skiing this late in the season this year. They were, I don't know if they're still open, but they were open on the 4th of July. Okay. So the E-mini is running into a very high liquidity area. You see they've been trading 2000s all around here. So there might be a reversal coming here. Or if, well, I mean, it could do either, but I think you're slightly more likely to get a reversal. Let's see. How do you know volume is buying and not short covering or scratching? It's a good question, dude. I think that most of the time it's just a guess. So, like, if you had a really strong down move and then you saw people passively buying it afterwards, that kind of feels like short covering to me, right? That's the way that you would do it, right? Is you would try and when you're getting out, you want to do it as passively as possible because you don't want to push the market against yourself and then lose some of your profits because you took the profits too aggressively, right? How long it takes to hike something is a function of your speed. Some guys can get to the top of Timp in under 2 hours. Oh, it took me all day. That one was one where we got there and early in the morning and we didn't come back until like 4. Ooh, and I was so tired after that. But that was preparation. That was the year that we went to Kings Peak for scouts. That was a good hike too, but that last bit of Kings Peak was murder. Oh, I don't think I ever want to go up there again. maybe if I took horses. Maybe if I took horses, I would go to Kings Peak again. Charles Dow, after a pulse, we most commonly retrace prevailing impulses bullish, so we sell off moderate retraces zone 68% golden retrace. I wish I were still short from 28.87 if wishes were fishes. I don't know, dude. I really don't know which way it's going to go, but that what just happened there might have been a reversal. There was a lot of volume down in that area, and they held it. Let's see what they do. They're going to test it again. It's kind of slightly less interest this time. Okay, and they pushed a little bit lower. Man. The Treasury's still not ticking up. How many times have we been in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm getting a zipper here that seems to suggest that we'll move up in the Treasuries. Let's see. My children were scouts. My daughter taught the challenge course as counselor. Yep. And did all the scout stuff. We don't do that in Utah anymore, though. They got rid of the scouts. Well, they pushed a little bit lower, but it still wasn't very. Let's see the Treasury ticked down. If wishes were fishes, I learned a new phrase. You've never heard that one before? We'd all swim in riches. Should I sell it? I don't think I'm getting really a signal, so I think that I'm supposed to not trade it. We do have a PMI number coming out in like 3 minutes, right? Oh, English is not your main language. I got you. Okay, let's look at what we're supposed to be getting here in numbers. We're looking final services PMI, looking for a reading of 52.2, a previous reading of 52.2. On average, this number tends to come pretty close. So if this came out and it was less than expected, that would be significant. Lucas is such a cowboy name. You know, a Lucas wears a white horse and will ride in to save the day. Now I'm going to have that image of him in my head. Every time I think Lucas, then I'm going to be thinking about a guy on a white horse. Another uptick. So that was a false breakout there. That's what that was. So the correct way for that to move is up. And they went the wrong way. If wishes were fishes, we would have a safari. If horse turds were biscuits, we would eat till we die. Gross. I've never heard that second part. Oh, man. I feel very safe in Sweden. Nobody is going to shoot me. Sweden is a very peaceful country. Do you want proof? Just take a trip over and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, I've been to Sweden and it was a very peaceful country. For sure. I hear that some areas there are getting kind of hairy, but it also kind of sounds like that even with all of that, it's not that bad. A black horse and preferably naked? What? Oh, man. What color of horse and hat would you like to wear? Okay. I got you. Now I don't know if I want to have the mental picture of a guy on a naked man on a black horse now. That's No one is saying Sweden isn't beautiful and safe. Please keep it that way. There you go. Well, people have been saying that it's not safe. Right? Donald Trump said it's not safe in Sweden, right? You guys remember that whole episode? And then they went through the statistics and they're like, oh, yes, actually, crime is increasing. And then there was this whole big thing about whether or not they were faking the statistics and yada, yada, yada. Okay, iceberg at 18.5. Let me hand you a blanket. Who's this buyer? Okay. Did we get the number? The market didn't really do anything to it. So the number was higher than expected, 53. Market don't seem to care. We get another one here, ISM non-manufacturing PMI. At the top of the hour, we're looking for a reading of 55.5. This number can be several points off. For instance, here, this, what was it? In June, we were expecting 55.4, and we got 56.9. So, or a small throw pillow. It looks like some hate groups in the US want Americans to believe that it's not safe and that it is a shithole and too far from being one. Yeah, the conservatives in the United States are extremely concerned about what they view as unchecked migration in Europe. And because Sweden was one of the most generous countries, and incidents of rape in Sweden have gone up, and so they are arguing that Sweden is the prime example of what's going to happen to your country in the long term. But there is a really big debate about what the statistics actually are. One that is beyond my expertise to say if they really are as bad as they appear. But that's why I said, even if it's true that crime is increasing in there, Sweden is still pretty nice. Still pretty nice. Okay, so they buying this. And we got a spike there, a really big spike. So let's keep ready here to see if we see anything. This might be where it stops. I take this one. This one's going to be, this is a little hairy, but we'll see if it works out. Can you speak on China devaluing the yuan? So, yeah, Wavy Bone. So we were talking about this earlier, and the thing that confuses me about this particular move is that China hasn't really said anything. Like I woke up and I saw the news that China retaliated and everything, and it looks like that they allowed the yuan to fall below 7. But it looks to me like people were already selling, and that China was defending that 7 area, and they basically just let it go. So it wasn't that China did something so much as it was China stopped doing something. And then I haven't seen any kind of like official response from Chinese media, although I recall that the editor of the Global Times, who has an in with the Chinese government, was saying that they were going to retaliate. And I think everybody assumes that this is a retaliation because they were saying, when you see it, you will see it, you know. So it's got to be that. Um, and in terms of what the effect is, um, I mean, it's hard to say because like we are beyond theory at this point. Well, it's not acting right. So let's see if they'll let us out. They might not do it. Hmm. I shouldn't have canceled that order. I should have moved it back down. Okay, this is more like what I thought should be happening. This should be down here, by the way. Anyways, I mean the thing is I would think that with China devaluing the yuan like that a lot of people are going to be wanting to get their business out of China, and that would really hurt China. But they devaluing their currency like that, it really affects the what do we call it, the trade gap with them. It kind of almost cancels out the tariffs completely. And yeah, the whole thing is kind of a little crazy. And like I said, we're beyond theory. So at this point, from a trading perspective, I kind of almost feel like it's better that we don't understand it, because there's no way you're going to predict what's going to happen anyways. We might as well just be as unbiased as we can so that we can read the action correctly. Well, okay. Interesting. So I was going to say that was a pretty good hold at 19.5, and then sure enough they sold the 19, but now the 19 is kind of holding a little bit, so I don't know. I feel nervous. Okay. What's the 5-year doing here? 5 years kind of acting a little weird. Okay. And are they doing this because the E-mini is possibly turned here? It's been a decent move down in the E-mini, but not nearly as extreme as I thought it might be. And the volume is not all one way. It's quite disorderly. Quite disorderly, I think, is a good way to say it. Where is MacDill? Talking about a place. I'm trying. We're back to where like I can't keep up with everything. Yeah, I got to focus on this. So I'm gonna miss a couple of comments here, but I love the conversation you guys are having. Um, it's kind of weird. They're definitely following the E-mini. I don't know if the E-mini's turned here or not. They could totally go down for another low really easily if they wanted to, couldn't they? Okay, we're getting some asks moving around. Suppose I kind of forgot here. I took that trade, but I kind of forgot that, we still have more news at the top of the hour. So here's the mini trying to yank one out here. I got a decent downtick, but it's like it's absorbing and stuff. Yeah, look at that 19.5. If this holds and they push lower, then it could really go, and I might regret this, but there was a pretty good chance that they were going to push back there, so I think, I really don't like taking lots of those really short trades, but I think I did the right thing there. Especially considering that there's news here in 4 minutes, right? China has a big holiday coming up. I'm having a hard time knowing when to put the risk on and when not in this kind of action, because August is usually really shitty. Like, August is usually really slow. And I swore there, I shouldn't swear. But August is usually really slow, and then this has just been crazy. People in my neighborhood complain about the military chopters that fly by sometimes. I remind them that they are keeping bad guys from coming over and cutting our heads off. They complain about the military helicopters? Come on. You probably don't even get it that bad down there. Try living up here in Davis County over by the Hill Air Force Base and then complain. I do remember one night. Oh man, that was a good drop. I made a good trade there. I played that correctly. And whether or not I got out there or not, it was kind of just a personal decision sort of a thing, and I don't think that we can say that it was like a good or bad. Camp Williams. Well, yeah, like they travel over you and then they go over to the range, right? Anyways, the other night I was like, somebody was like flying a drone over our house in the middle of the night or something, because I could hear a drone outside, and it was a really loud drone. I'm like, that must be a really, like, I heard it going all over the place, but maybe drones are just loud. I don't know. And then I heard something else, some sort of military plane of some sort. I had never heard anything like it before. I don't even really completely remember what it was, other than that it was not just your usual helicopter and stuff. That woke me up. I actually didn't sleep super great last night because there was some crazy bad wind. I woke up this morning and it's fine now, but it was so windy last night. And I was not prepared. I did not like clean everything up and everything. And I was like afraid that the trampoline was going to fly away. Anyone entertaining the idea of visiting Area 51 must remember that area is first and foremost a bombing range. Yeah. A C5 will scream and whine when it passes by. Maybe that's what it was. Okay, here we go. Here comes the news. Do you think we should... Well, you know what? We've done this a couple of times lately and lost. And the way that it's trading right now, I don't think that I want to put one in. But I would like to see if I could get a slippery trade, maybe. Well, I see everybody getting out. Oh, let's make sure that we have the tweet deck up. So we're looking for 55.5. Zero Hedge has an interesting chart open showing how there's a huge gap between the S&P 500 and the 10-year yield that has to close. Okay, so there's the trade. There's the news. They've moved a little bit higher. 53.7 versus an expected 55.5. Okay. So it did move up, but that is retracing very quickly, though. They left a huge liquidity bubble behind them. Word on the street of China is that President Trump changes his mind faster than pages in a book. I've heard a lot of good. So I heard a joke the other day. There's a Chinese guy and an American guy talking to each other. And the American guy says to the Chinese guy, in our country, we're free to openly oppose our president. And the Chinese guy says, and I'll try and do a Chinese accent, but it'll probably be awful. But he says, in China, we are free to openly support our president. You get it? You get it? I think it's a funny joke. The president is trying to change the Chinese mind on SOEs. What is SOEs? Well, this is trading quite erratic, and I'm not getting any kind of real read in here. I'd have to say the news was bad. It wasn't like the end of the world, but the news was bad. That would tend to move the treasuries up, but the way that they're acting here now that they've returned back is unusual. Maybe we're getting a little bit of buying here now. Maybe. Openly support our president, right? Because in the United States, you're not allowed to openly support the president. Okay, yeah, there is buy. It kind of already went, though. I don't know if I can buy it here. I think you just buy 20. I'm not sure enough. One time I was busted so low I ended up flying a cargo plane full of rubber and dog poop out of Hong Kong. Wait, really? You did, what state do you live? I live in Utah. I live near Salt Lake City. So, mountain time zone. We're near an Air Force base. It's an Air Force base that they keep trying to close, but the senators always stop them. Okay, so now I'm getting kind of it's a quote from Top Gun. Oh, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think you missed one when we were talking about this, but did you see the trailer for the new Top Gun? It was so cool. Like, I'm gonna guess that there's probably gonna be something in the script that's really stupid and is gonna make me hate the movie. But I think just for that cinema photography alone, that movie is gonna be something to see. And my cumulative delta is all messed up. They're buying it still. Hill Air Force Base keeping Utah safe from Idaho for 56 years. My understanding is that they don't want the base, which is kind of weird. They want to shutter it. Well, I said 20, right? I don't know if I would have even gotten filled on that. I'm going to see that movie as well, me and every other red-blooded male. Exactly. But I'm I'm telling you, there's going to be something in the script that's going to be like, oh, what, really? I thought maybe they were going to tick down at 20 half. And then all of a sudden the shove comes in and they pushed it up into 10 again. Or 21. Where did I get 10 from? Whatever. Okay, that's it right there. Missed it. So I'm a little on. I think I'm getting a continuation signal, but I'm not 100% sure. I think this one I'm a little bit more like could possibly buy it if I had gotten, like, if I was at 20. If I had gone along at 20 when I first started to get kind of the signal, then I think I would be holding it to see what happens. But I don't think that I'm gutsy enough to buy into 21, for instance. Maybe if we get a reload here. Will not give us the true information. Top Gun, I can't wait for that movie. Yeah, there you go. Poor Val, a good example of why one needs to work out. Right? I think he's supposed to be in the movie, though, isn't he? He's going to be in it in some form or another, but he's not, like, he's too sick or something like that. Framing effect. Take a date because Tom Cruise movie is guaranteed to make a girl close her eyes when he kisses her face. Song reference from bar scene. Yeah. It's going to be like Goose's daughter, you know, moves, and he has to train her to fly or something like that, I hope it's not like if Tom Cruise has a relationship with Goose's daughter, I'm no thank you. No thank you. I'm not on board with that. But there's going to be something like that. You just know what's going to happen. Hollywood liked our special forces toys. Tom Cruise was doing those films really then, but Steven Seagal was, and he was legendary for how odd he is. Steven Seagal. People forget about Steven Seagal. Most millennials don't realize that Steven Seagal is famous for doing the splits on top of the bike and everything. So that fell back a little bit too easily. Yvette loves dogs. That's an interesting name. Let's look that up. Always gotta. Oh, they're a person on Reddit. Oh, their dog's cancerous leg was amputated yesterday. That's so sad. Okay, I don't want to read this person's profile anymore. Oh no, you're right. It was Van Damme is the one that did the splits. I'm so stupid. Seagal is the one that had the movie where he fights the oil industry, right? Hmm. I'm wondering if I'm gonna read this differently when this all plays out. This kind of that move here. I'll just highlight it for you. This right here. It reminds me of a similar move that we had the other day. And that was the one that I later ended up saying, oh, that was actually the golden signal to go short. Steven Seagal is a nightmare to work with, apparently. How bad do you have to be banned from Saturday Night Live? Right. Well, there's a pretty big bid there at 20. E-Mini is threatening again. Hmm. Okay. So I'm noticing that on that downtick, that 21 thickened up quite a bit. How long has it been like that? Let's minimize this for a second. Yeah, that size is recent, relatively recent. Okay, there's a really big. That was really aggressive sell there. It's interesting. It sold more in the 30-year than it did in the 5-year. Oh, I think I missed the opportunity here. It did end up reversing though, didn't it? I'm not comfortable with this. Somebody's doing something with the ask. Hmm. Yeah. But what is this? They're going up together now? I worked with a Mormon from Utah at MacDill. He had a chance to pilot Air Force One and went out to interview for the job. He did not end up getting the job, but had an amazing experience that week. Interesting. So is there like just one guy that is like the main pilot for Air Force One? That must sound like that must be an extremely prestigious job. Probably a cushy job too. Mm, Media has a big responsibility to life and safety in our country. Fake news has contributed greatly to the anger and rage that has built up over many years. News coverage has got to start being fair, balanced, and unbiased, or these terrible problems will only get worse. And I guess Donald Trump is speaking right now. Trump says, directs Department of Justice to work with local authorities and social media companies to detect mass shooters before they strike. So he's speaking right now, I guess. Sliding doors are the butterfly effect. I am in a good place in my individualization of self actualization. We just need to teach you how to pull money out of the market each day. Yeah. Well, she needs to get platforms set up first. Have you tried and setting up any futures trading platforms like Ninja Trader yet? This is kind of interesting because I could have pulled 2 ticks out of this. And I remember I was like a little bit too. I was right on the edges, but I was a little bit too tepid. And I'm wondering if I had taken those trades, I think that I would probably have been trying to hold it to see if it would go for more, and it's not doing that. So I'm glad that I ended up, saving myself a little bit of grief there. No, not just one, but he would have been the captain when his crew flew. I was offered a job on Air Force One. I went to meet the crew, and as we walked by, they held up signs with their numbers when the females walked through. I didn't risk looking. What, really? Did that really happen? That would not be allowed today. Maze is getting a short signal. I'll consider it. So I'm looking at this thing. That seems like an awfully odd place to stop. Nope. Okay. Let's see. I'm kind of playing this wrong because he's saying, like, if it gets down there, right? Whereas I tried to see. You know what? So far, it's pretty good. So far, it looks like I really caught that spot perfect. Chicago weekend, stat 7 killed, 46 wounded. I'm telling you, man, we are failing our young men. And the same thing that's causing some of these guys to become white nationalists and go and commit mass, shootings are causing gang violence in places like Chicago. That's my opinion. Or I guess I shouldn't even call it an opinion. That's what I believe at the moment. Fatherless America. I think that's a big point too. Yeah, you guys heard that story about the elephants? And then, they transported some elephants to colonize in a new area where the elephants had been wiped out, and they were heavy, so they only took the women and children because it was too expensive to transport the male bulls. And what happened was when the babies grew up, the males became extremely destructive. The men became extremely destructive, and eventually, what they determined was that they needed the male bulls needed the older bulls to, you know what, I should just get rid of that. They needed the older bulls to, hold on a second, I need to take a deep breath here. Holy shit, okay. Anyways, they needed the older bulls to kind of show them the ropes and keep them under control, because only the older male bulls kind of understood what was going on and could keep them under control. And so that people use that as an allegory for today. It's, I saw a study the other day. That's all I can handle. Oh man. I'm going to regret doing that, but I think that that's what I was supposed to do. I took that one time. I think that I should just be taking what I can get. 30 is really great. Did you take it, Ace? Did you get it? If you had said that, like, oh, I'm going to hold it, then I think I would be like, but that kind of action down there looked like a stop run to me, so that's why I took it off. That was a solid call, though. And you know what? I took that one live. So thanks for the $30, dude. Our young men on both sides will always have extreme types, but young men want to put on team colors and go to war. These young men grew up going to virtual war. They want to stop training on their weapons and play real war and battle for team victory, identity politics. I think so. I really think so. You could go on Reddit and read like what these Antifa people say, or even what some of the people on the Donald say, because I mean, from my perspective, I feel like, okay, I'm going to say a bunch of stuff that's like, we're getting a little bit deep into Seth's psyche here, right? And I might see some silly things, all right? But just hear me out. I've been doing the politics thing for a long time. I mean, I was always into it in high school, and I've been following politics basically ever since it's ever been like online, you know, and I was followed every teeny tiny little detail of the John McCain versus Barack Obama campaign. I was so into it, and I've always been into it. And politics today are different. It's not the same thing. It used to be a game. To me, it was a game. It was, we shitpost a little bit, and that kind of helps get the message out, and it's all a game about how to reach people. But what's happening now is not a game. It's like, I'm realizing that not everybody thinks like me, you know? This is something that all 30-year-olds come to start to realize, but I used to think that, hey, everybody can get involved in politics and can shitpost and have a grand old time and it'll be fun. But it's just not the case. Some people just can't handle that negativity in their life. Some people just can't handle the conflict. Some people, they don't like conflict and they don't want to be involved in that. Some people, they are all too ready to get involved in conflict, and will take any excuse to go in and get involved in it, you know? And I think that that's kind of what's happening. And I'm starting to think, well, you're one of the people that have been in it for a long time and know what's going on. And when I post on Facebook, you know, my close friends, they seem to respect me on the politics thing and social media, being able to read that. And so I'm kind of starting to look at like, oh, I'm actually in a sense a role model for some people, which to me this is where I'm saying you're kind of getting deep into my psychic, because to me, I don't feel like there's anything special to it about me. Maybe that's the Dunning-Kruger effect, but I can only see the things where I'm like, you know, I'm not super great socially. I'm ADHD. I miss so much. I'm probably not the best person to be putting in that kind of situation. But maybe it's just the case that I'm crazy and I think too highly of myself. Or maybe it's the case that that things have just gotten so crazy that there's not very many people capable of filling that role left, and we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, and I'm the bottom of the barrel. I don't know. Let's hear what's Wednesday. How much time do you spend on Facebook? No, there are 4 temperaments, 16 personalities, or more conservative versus liberal psychology, fight or flight, response, authority, role. That's a good question. I don't think that on Facebook alone that I probably spend more than 30 minutes. But on Reddit, I very much spend a ton of time on Reddit. Your psyche is beautiful, and so is your metaphysical self. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's kind of interesting for me. There's kind of, you're telling me things that I'm not used to hearing, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical, but anyways, let's just run it with it, right? So I'm just saying, I just like his cute face things. Anyways, like I was saying, I feel like that we need to think about how can we help these kind of people more, because in my mind, I look at a person like that and I'm like, okay, he's probably not too bright, but there's probably some combination of he's gotten too far in life with not doing anything with his life. He doesn't have a lot of social contact. He has been drawn into negative politics. He's probably on some sort of antidepressant and all of those sorts of things. And maybe he didn't have a father in his life, and all of those things kind of come together and cause somebody to do something crazy. And I'm thinking, well, what if he had gotten into something different? What if when he was 19, he come into this room and decided that he wanted to do futures, and maybe he was never successful at it, but at the very least, I don't think that you can trade futures, and it changes your outlook. And I think it changes your outlook for the better, even if you're no good at it, and I just think, well, what if, even though he would still be crazy, maybe if he had run into the right influence earlier, he wouldn't have gone down that path. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, what is it that you can actually do to attract people and to pull them out of that? But it's kind of a scary thing to think about, because then you're saying, okay, so what actually would attract a person like that? And I really don't know. I would think, maybe some video games, but like most of these guys, I don't think any of these killers were really super into video games. I look like an old catcher's mitt that was left out all season. No, you do. You look like a guy in his mid-40s to me. So I'm interested to know what you think here at this spot here, Ace, because I took the trade. I trailed it down, my stop down. I saw a new low and what appeared to be some sort of a stop run, and so I got out. It moved up a lot against almost back to where my entry was, and now back down in another new low. So I traded that the way that we should, based on the way that you would have traded it, right? That you would have wanted to have gotten out, and then maybe you could get back in if you wanted to, or you just take what you were supposed to get and leave. I think I did that. Your day job may be as a trader, but your ego is healthy and empathy chip is activated. Yeah, maybe. The thing that's funny, here's another thing that is kind of weird to me. When I was a kid, like in high school and junior high, I kind of felt like I was told that I was arrogant. And I still kind of think that I'm arrogant. It says, yes, I think that was perfect. Okay, good deal. I feel really good about the trade, but I was kind of sitting there going like, should I have held it? Because it looks like they could just sell all day. Anyways, I'm being ADHD. The thought. I used to think that I was told that I was arrogant. I remember we were having one of my friends told me the storyline of Dragon Ball Z, and they're like, oh, and then Vegeta comes along. And they love Vegeta. And like, Vegeta, he's kind of like you. I'm like, okay. He's like short and arrogant. I'm like, what? I was short at the time. But arrogant. And I guess, I liked to argue. Always liked to argue. Maybe that's why people thought that I was arrogant. Okay. So now I come back and I look today, and it's like when people tell me nice things, I think I'm being played. Honestly, I'm like, people are being a little too nice to me. That's what I think. And then on the empathy thing, I never necessarily thought that I was a terribly empathetic person. But then I got divorced. And when I got divorced, I took the 3 months off. I did meet one girl during that 3 months, but that didn't turn out so well, and I don't really understand what happened there. But I think that I was just too fresh off of the divorce, probably, and it was probably best for her to not get too close. But anyways, that kind of like really crushed me. So then I was like, okay, the only way that I'm going to get over this, because it seems like I'm just not able to like have a normal interaction with somebody because I'm like too afraid that they're like going to disappear on me. I need to just date as many people as possible. So I was like super serious about the Tinder. I mean, I'm not kidding. I was super serious about it. I would swipe until I had my matches, until I had my week filled. And my goal was to go out on a date those 3 nights of the week that I had, and I did pretty good at least getting appointments. A lot of people don't follow through and things like that, but I did a pretty good job with it. And at first, I felt like it did really well. I was like, wow, I'm surprised at how many dates I'm going on, and I had no clue that I could meet this many people. I think that it's just the combination of you're a guy, you're 30, you're in Utah. People in Utah, they're all LDS people, and so they're more likely to go on a date with you anyways. And then when you're a guy, you kind of have the numbers advantages at 30. And so I think a lot of it was just that. But, I went out a lot. And I felt like, I read a lot of books and stuff, and I kind of had an idea of what it was that I thought I was supposed to do. They would work well. Seth went on a dating terror. It was dating Armageddon. He committed dating, war crimes, mass dating. I not war crimes, but mass dating, absolutely. I literally, I shouldn't tell you this. No, I'm going to tell you this. I literally basically went out with the objective of like, here's the thing. When I met my ex, my ex-wife, I had never been in a serious relationship before that. And I felt like that it just worked out so well between us, and I had never experienced anything like that I just kind of went along with it. And you know what? I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing either. There was some things about the interaction there that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. She was a very impulsive, flamboyant kind of girl. And I think that she kind of pulled me out of my shell in ways that nobody else ever could have done. And like, I don't think that I would have the guts to get on stream, for instance, if I had never met her, So I think it was a good thing that I met her and we did that. But she was like the first girl that I kissed, first relationship that I've been in, and I kind of regretted that. So when I started dating again, I basically said, I'm going to kiss as many people as I could. So that's what I did. And I had a rule, because I kissed my ex the first date, and I said I shouldn't have done that. So the rule was 3 dates. I didn't kiss unless it had been 3 dates. But I basically went out and tried to kiss as many girls as I could, and I would keep dating them until they weren't interested anymore, basically. And if I got like 3 girls going at the same time that it had to the point that I was kissing, and that did happen, and they knew, I was honest with everybody, they knew what was going on. All right. And eventually they were dating other people too, and they would get more interested in somebody else, and we'd move on. And it was actually a really great system, because you never had to go into that, like, okay, it's time for us to break up sort of a thing, because, by the time it had gotten to that point, you both understood where it was, and, you were already, you didn't even have to say anything, right? And we're like, I'm still really good friends with some of those girls. So it was great. It was a great system. Anyways, but the thing that stood out to me, the point of going into that was that the thing that was weird to me when I was dating, because I was into the, okay, how can we develop a close, relationship and get to that point? Because clearly I don't understand how to do that. And so, we would do that and we'd, have a little bit of fun conversation, and then we could get into some more, deep conversation. Like there's a list of questions, and like the questions get more and more intimate, and I would use those questions, and I had questions of my own. And the thing that always surprised me was that girls would tell me things that they probably shouldn't tell me. You are a classic intuitive who leads with introverted thinking. You do not learn in a linear style. You are paranoid and experience anxiety due to needing dopamine because you are left-brained. Your frontal cortex works differently than most people, and so does mine. The idea to understand why the cognitive function of the NE and the NI also experiences cognitive dissonance or disconnect. Sensors live in here, and now while intuitives are more like the Asian letters, we do not read from left to right. I gotcha. I like long, slow kisses that last a long time, but my postman isn't keen on them. Oh, man. So here, while I'm taking a break, it's kind of interesting that the E-mini did go down for another new low, and they're already reversing a bit. And so it's kind of like, if I had held that original short, I probably could have held it, but it's being a little bit too volatile, and I'm still kind of happy that I had taken it. Now, if we gap down 40 points all of a sudden at once, then maybe I'll regret it, but we'll see. Okay, anyways. So I remember this one girl, and she was kind of an odd girl. And her thing was that she did not watch PG-13 movies. That was her thing. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll just ignore that and kind of go with it, but probably not going to marry somebody that doesn't watch PG-13 movies. Because I'm like, hey, you know what's a really good kids movie? Aliens. It is. It's a good kids. When they're like, 8, go for it. I'm telling you, they love that stuff. It's PG-13 or even R. It doesn't mean that kids can't watch it. It just means they have to watch it with parental guidance. Now, some R-rated movies you shouldn't watch, like don't watch The Exorcist. I haven't seen that, but I've seen enough and know enough about it that I don't want to watch it. There are certainly some R-rated movies that I've seen that I regret watching, but Aliens, you can totally watch that with your kids. All right. And I'm pretty sure that if I told this girl that, she would be like horrified, Anyways, so she starts telling me this story about how with her last boyfriend, she went into a car loan with him, and it was his car, and he's not paying the car loan. And so she has this huge debt from this car. And I'm like, why would you tell somebody that on the first date? And she was saying it there at the time, like, probably shouldn't be telling you this. And I don't normally tell you people. And I get that all the time. It's like, for some reason, I don't normally do this sort of a thing, but I'm telling you for some reason. And at first I thought it was something that just like all girls do. But then when I actually started getting, when I had been on like 3 to 5 dates with them and like we actually knew each other, it was getting into the like, oh, no, it is different. I think that maybe part of it is that when you're ADHD, you're so clueless about the way that other people see you that you can't help but just be yourself. And people pick up on that and are more comfortable revealing themselves to you because of that. I also think maybe I picked up some mannerisms from my ex that, get people closer to you or something. I don't know. It might have been an unconscious thing, but it seemed to me like I had the ability to be empathetic and that people responded to that. Okay. And then I met the widow and that was really hard. And then after the widow, I was on ADHD medication. So from that point forward, it was different. I still went on a lot of dates, but I did not enjoy it at all. I was like, every day, I was just like, I would rather talk to the widow. And it was, I don't know if it was just a different group of people. It was like later in the year. So this is like when all of the people that don't want to be alone for Christmas are coming out. So maybe that had something to do with it, but I was just not enjoying myself. And it seemed like every date was not very good. And usually I would almost always get a second date. And these times people were just kind of ghosting and disappearing and things like that. And I thought, well, maybe it's the ADHD, maybe being on Adderall makes me not as interesting, or maybe too nervous or something like that. I don't know. And I still don't know. But it seemed like I was different at that point. And so I thought maybe, and I started arguing with people online a lot more at that time too. ADHD people read micro and macro facial expressions faster because their brain processes the info inside of the head faster than they process the info they're receiving in the here and now again. Okay, that might be true. Like, I don't think that I process and understand what people are saying, but I think that the body language, the sort of the like unconscious stuff does go fast. Yeah. Anyways, so I was arguing with people online a lot too. And maybe that part of that was just because it was an election year. But I kind of thought, like, maybe did I lose my empathy? It seems like I used to get into this thing where if somebody was talking, it was like I could totally feel the way that they were feeling, and it could get me into a bad mood. And now I listen to people talk, and I don't care how they feel, because it's like I understand how they feel, but I'm immediately like, okay, yeah, but this is the way that things are, and so it doesn't, So I don't know. I don't understand if it is or it isn't. But then I met my wife, and that's all goes well with my wife. But I feel like I go between these extremes where it's like I don't care how people feel, and then I understand how people feel too much. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not sure I understand where the market is going here and how it is behaving. I'm kind of thinking like I would rather get a short in the Treasuries. But, oh well, it's actually past my time. When I took that trade, when did I take it at? I took it at 7:48. Oh, really? I've been talking about that for almost an hour? It seems like I just barely did that. Then I sold it at the top of the hour. We've been yapping for 40 minutes. Your temperament is rational. The reason they want to medicate your ADHD brain is because they are treating symptoms of thinking differently and trying to fix that cognitive dissonance that we experience because of sensory issues. No. So here's another thing. When you are on Adderall, well, Ritalin. When I was in school, I was on Ritalin. And it releases that norepinephrine throughout your whole brain. And norepinephrine suppresses your limbic system, so you don't feel the emotions as strongly. So I think what happened to me was because didn't want to talk to people, was extremely quiet when I was on the Ritalin. So I didn't really talk to people. So I went through all that period not really having emotional experiences with people. And then I got off the medication and I met my wife, my first wife rather. And, so the thing is that I had never really had to navigate difficult emotions. Because, I just went right into that, and that just kind of fell into something. You know what I mean? So then when my ex left, it was almost like a lifetime of emotions hitting me all of a sudden. I could not deal with it. And I'm not saying like it was too hard. I'm saying that it was like I had a complete inability to control my emotions. at all. And it wasn't like I did anything rash or anything like that. It's just I was straight up depressed and could not, like, it was 2 points where I could not function at work, like when I, and then after that I had, a bad experience with a girl, and that kind of had me all, what is the word, defensive. And then I met that other girl that I thought it was going to work out with, and it didn't work. And I was like, there were periods where I was literally like, it couldn't work. Like, I remember going into the bathroom and just crying for 30 minutes so that nobody could see what was going on. When you're ADHD, the what do we call it? The executive functioning front part of your brain. That's the thing that regulates emotions. And because it's not that strong, it just can't overcome what's going on here in the limbic system. And it just goes haywire. And it was affecting everything. I couldn't work. I couldn't, it was bad. And I that was the point at which I said, you know what? If I really want to do the things that I want to do, because I hated the medication when I was a kid. And I said, if I really want to do what I want to do, I gotta go back on it. And so I got back on it, and the Adderall was hell. Okay, I took too much, and every day was depression when I was coming off. But then when I finally got on Strattera, it was like, okay, something bad would happen, and I would feel bad, and I would, and I could go into that for a while. Like, even talking about it, kind of, and kind of like reflecting on it, it doesn't feel like sad to me, but it's kind of like a more peaceful acceptance that that sort of thing happened. But back then you would just fall into the pit. And now it's kind of like I can sit and think about it, and then I say, okay, now it's time to do something else. And I can completely control it and move on and control the emotions and move on to something else. I can still get triggered every once in a while, but I have a pretty good handle on it, and it made a difference. And that at that point was where I was like, okay, you know what? I really did need to do this. I made the right decision. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, because there is very much a thought like, well, maybe what are you losing out by being on the medication? Like, maybe you're not as empathetic as you were before, but I think that I'm better off this way. The Black Widow is sitting in the middle of the web. The fly she seeks. That's exactly the, when I talk about the Widow, that's the picture you should have in your mind, is that girl from the Avengers. My daughter was ADHD. She also had an IQ of 142, graduated from the Navy Nuck School, and was never invited to the other little girls' slumber parties. It's difficult for a brilliant female with feminine and masculine energy and a heart that is too full of love. She was a force of nature, and the energy of the room centered on her. Oh, yeah, totally. You totally get, there's studies that pretty much straight up show that when you are significantly more intelligent than other people, that they are distrustful of you and don't like you. It's straight up a thing. I think it may be because, they were saying that, you ever heard that like Neanderthals might have actually have been smarter than us? At least they had larger brains. We don't know how that would actually translate into behavior and how that was allocated, but they had larger brains than us, and so they might have actually been more intelligent than us. But the reason, if they were more intelligent than us, evolution scientists speculate that the reason why we might have won might have been because we were better adapted to the climate change, and because we were more aggressive than they were. And so that tendency for people to reject that which is not like them is a built-in thing. And it's a thing with ADHD too. Like, they've done studies that show that an ADHD kid and gets rejected by their peers within 5 minutes of meeting them. No joke. It's weird. They can immediately tell a difference. Taylor did not live to see her 30th birthday. She was fierce and wrote poetry. And she told jokes that would make you fall down. Oh, please don't tell me that she killed herself. Sorry that she's gone. It's taking a lot now. What's going on? You know, that's funny when we were up there at the top and I said, this one was forming, and I thought, well, maybe it was a short, but then I didn't really think much about it because it was past 8:30, and now that it went down, I'm kind of like, wow, okay. Well, do I have, oh, I need to get rid of this. There we go. Oh, so when did I took that trade at 8:17? I was misreading which trade was which. Shall we look at this? Look at that. So we made 3 ticks in the Treasuries, which probably could have been a lot more, but I'd say this is pretty difficult trading. So it's a Monday. It's not giving us very good signals, and it's kind of flopping all over the place. There was some more opportunity that we could have probably have taken a couple more and made more than that. But then we took this one in the E-mini, and I was able to see the spots really well, so I'm super happy about that trade. That's nice. So it's 8:51. Let's go and put in the trades here. Fish oil and omega-3 fatty acids help evolve the human brain. Look at the diets of Eastern versus Western diets. Oh, really? I'm sorry. If I could, I would take that away or help share that burden. I would never want to bring the conversation down. How do you know if elephants have been in... How do you know if elephants... I don't know. I don't think that you brought the conversation down. I think it was a nice thing to know. The footprints in the peanut butter? What? This is going to be... what? This is probably going to be like one of those really dumb... Oh, did you have one of those things where like you'll come back? Okay, wait. I'm getting distracted here. Journal cue. Footprints in the Jell-O. You do not keep peanut butter in the fridge. What? Okay. Oh, man. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay. Oh, no, you can't see that. Hold on. This one... I don't know how to categorize that one. Okay. So this one was a reversal, and this one was a reversal. I don't know if we want to say anything else other than that. I don't even know why I had to pull this over and show it to you. I'm being silly now. I want to categorize them as reversals, though. For sure. Ooh, and now let's do the cryptocurrencies. This gonna be interesting. So I took it at 76. If I had held, probably could have gotten 2 points or more, or sorry, 10 points or more, but I still think I did the right thing. Because it was, I think, if I wanted to swing, I could have held that, but I'm not trying to swing it, am I? The cool thing is everyone is curious about death. I am rational and have lived through the worst, so it's easy to step away and discuss Taylor. It keeps her alive. And I told her that if she ghosts me, Don't go with me into the bathroom. Gosh. Right. That's hilarious. Oh man. Okay, so today we're getting 135. Okay, so I'm gonna go quiet for a second while I post these notes, right? Okay. So it says another short setup at 28.65. And it's going up quite a bit again. You know, normally I think I would try it again, but it's time for me to go anyways. Little babies are my favorite. Unlike lots of men, I'm really good with really tiny. I love holding them and giving them bottles and looking at them. Well, hey, dude, we're gonna be having one in February, so hopefully we'll have you around. Quick draw a dirty picture on the chalkboard or a whiteboard now. I wish I could give you guys like oh, it would be awesome if there was like screen sharing software and there was a place where you guys could like draw pictures together or something like that. We continue to believe that global equities will advance further before the next U.S. session strikes. We think that the growth trade-off policy is far better now than it was in 2018. It says cancel that short. Yeah, the whole China trade thing, I don't understand because a lot of people were saying, well, this would cancel out any tariffs and it's bad for the US. But then it's also like, okay, one, everybody in China is going to get totally screwed by this. You can tell by how desperately they're trying to get out with Bitcoin. Number two, why would any company want to do business there now? Like, seriously, if that's what they're going to do, I guess if they just kind of let it slip, but if they're actually like straight up manipulating their currency like that, I don't see how you could feel comfortable having them even as a trading partner. And at this point, I would be looking to move towards sanctions of some sort and completely divesting myself, which would be really, really negative for the Chinese and probably for the global economy as well. But like I said, like we're well beyond theory at this point. We've just kind of ranged back and forth in the treasuries today, haven't we? I mean, gosh. It's crazy stuff. You guys are great. I wish I could respond to like Win posts lots of comments on the YouTube videos after the fact, and it's like so much stuff like I don't even know what to say sometimes, but I appreciate it, guys. You're great. It is time for me to go. It is past 9 o'clock, so I posted the cryptocurrency notes. We had a good day. We're having a good win streak. Let's keep this up, yeah? So I will catch you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.